Methodist Central Hall in London. And at that time, it included 51 representatives, or 51 nations. Yeah? Subsequently, until the moving into USAI, we can now describe as the permanent resident of the United Nations, now Manhattan. That they did in 1951. Now, since then, the assembly don't they convey every other year for look at critical issues. Now, world leaders them can get the unique opportunity for take the podium, make statements not just about what is going on back at home, but what is going on the global stage. Sierra Leone now one country we don't participate in the United Nations for a very, very long time now. And our participation has been good. We've been elected into the non-permanent category of the United Nations Security Council. We've been part of several other committees. And baku things them with the United Nations don't they do. Albeit that this time around, at the United Nations General Assembly, one thing will take central stage. Now the call by African leaders for the inclusion of Africa into the permanent category of the United Nations Security Council, in which Sierra Leone as well joined that particular call day. But away from that, a lot of other statements were made, lots of things were said, especially when it comes to the representation of Sierra Leone at that particular assembly. Tonight, what we want for do, now for look at all what was said, and maybe as well begin for question what was not said, and the notion or intention behind why waiting was not said. What is the reason? Hope that makes sense. I think I'm using a lot of words here tonight. But anyways, that's what we have for you here tonight on Brutally Frank. So like always, viewers, welcome to No Man's Land. Welcome to Brutally Frank. I am James Fortune, and with me like always is...
My name is Melvin Tijan Mansai and Fabio Kushen Kabo. Welcome to your show, my show, and everybody's show. As you already hear, we're looking into the issues for tonight. As always, a forensic look into Sierra Leone's participation in the United Nations General Assembly 2025, UNGA 25. So tonight, family, we want to take a diplomatic look into the, well, still ongoing, because I know there is going to be a debate. We're going to take an academic look also into this conversation, and above all, we'll take a geopolitical lens also to the conversation. Basically, we want to look at the global and the national implications of UNGA 80 and the implications on Sierra Leone. So stay tight. When we come back, we'll bring you a guest, and on the guest list for tonight, we expect to be joined virtually by Dr. Idris M. Tarawali, in a lecturer, political science department, Flabe College. Inside we join me virtually. And we also expect to get inside the studio shortly, Mulku S. Bangura, international development and social commentator, in the help for giving a geopolitical perspective into all of this conversation. And also virtually, we expect to be joined by Mahmoud Fofana, a journalist and a political analyst. We will give you the media reportage and coverage, and above all, a political lens as to how UNGA 80 has been like for Sierra Leone delegation led by no less a person, but His Excellency retired Brigadier Julius Mada Bio. So tonight we'll be counting the cost versus the benefit. UNGA 80, what's locked in for Sierra Leone.
So there you have it. Tonight we're going to be diplomatically, brutally frank. So it's a two-pronged approach. Like always, we're going to bring you the facts of all that has been happening, the ongoing United Nations General Assembly. Like Melvin say, evaluating the cost versus the benefits. You can follow me live with Facebook page at Slick TV. We're also live with Epic Radio page at Epic Radio. We'll be right back. Facebook page and official website. You don't tire for your boku talk with no substance, or sweet talk with plenty lie inside. Then now, the term for strip the headlines bare and tell the story just like it is. Brutally Frank goes where others won't, exposing the real stories behind the headlines.
We tackle issues of maximum importance to the growth of Sierra Leone, from politics to the economy, agriculture, education, health, and tourism.
By serving as your voice in asking the why, where, how, and when questions to the people them we responsible.
This na Brutally Frank.
This is Brutally Frank.
Showing every Sunday at 7 p.m. on Slick TV, channel 37, and streaming live on our Facebook page and official website.
You don't tire for your boku talk with no substance or sweet talk with plenty lie inside. Then now, na the time for strip the headlines bare and tell the story just like it is. Brutally Frank goes where others won't, exposing the real stories behind the headlines.
We tackle issues of maximum importance to the growth of Sierra Leone, from politics to the economy, agriculture, education, health, and tourism.
By serving as your voice in asking the why, where, how, and when questions to the people them we responsible.
This na Brutally Frank.
This is Brutally Frank.
Showing every Sunday at 7 p.m. on Slick TV, channel 37, and streaming live on our Facebook page and official website.
You don't tire for your boku talk with no substance or sweet talk.
Okay, welcome back. If you're just joining us, the program where you watch now Brutally Frank, we come to you live here on Slick TV. We also the live with Facebook page and also at Epic Radio Facebook page. Tonight on the show, we're examining the Sierra Leone's representative or representation at the United Nations, all what was said. So for the first speak, we want to look at the president in speech now the United Nations. Like always, the United Nations, it's a diplomatic platform. Some people can say now where people go and, be economical with the thoughts just in the interest of diplomacy and all. Like always, this year as well, all world leaders can take the stage and then can make speech, and their speech not can just revolve around what is happening in their country, but it goes further than that. What is happening on the world stage and the role where Salone they play now the world stage. Presently, Sierra Leone, with presidents now also the chairman of the ECOWAS authorities of heads of states. So you could imagine that he had a lot to say, not just about what is happening in Sierra Leone, but what is happening within the ECOWAS bloc and within the Africa as a whole. We are going to take a listen now at the president in speech shortly, and when we come back, we'll be brutally honest with the speech. Let's take a listen.
The United Nations cannot protect vulnerable people if it cannot protect its own authority. As a nation, Sierra Leone does its part and contributes troops to peacekeeping missions. We serve as elected Security Council member and offer our experience in peace building to the world. Sierra Leone's story is proof that multilateral solidarity works when it is grounded in trust, mutual respect, and genuine investment in national ownership. Madam President, peace is inseparable from development. In Sierra Leone, our medium-term national development aligned with the SDGs and the African Union's Agenda 2063 prioritizes people-centered growth. We are transforming our agricultural sector to ensure food security. We are investing in a digital economy that fosters inclusion and innovation. We are deepening investment in human capital development through free quality education and in healthcare, particularly maternal and child health. We are expanding renewable energy to support industrialization and climate resilience. Climate change is an existential threat to Sierra Leone. Our greenhouse gas emissions are negligible, yet our people and our wide coast bears the cost through erosion, flooding, and pressure on food systems and fisheries. We have mainstreamed climate adaptation and strengthened disaster preparedness. In fulfillment of the commitment made at the Third United Nations Oceans Conference, Sierra Leone has ratified the Biodiversity Beyond National Jurisdiction Treaty, BBNG. As the 60th state to deposit its instrument of ratification, Sierra Leone is proud of the collective endeavor to trigger the entry into force of the BBNG Treaty, a historic milestone for multilateralism and the collective stewardship of our ocean commons. We urge all countries to do the same, so the high seas and areas are governed by common good. Climate justice is not charity. It is a legal and moral responsibility. If the poorest are left to pay the highest climate price, there is no justice. Developed nations must honor their commitments. $100 billion per year in climate finance, technology transfer, and capacity building. We welcome the International Court of Justice advisory opinion on climate change, affirming states' obligation to prevent environmental harm and to protect future generations. In that spirit, Sierra Leone is proud to present the candidature of Professor Dr. Charles Cherno Jallow to the International Court of Justice, a distinguished jurist and tireless advocate for the rule of law. We respectfully solicit the support of all member states in the November 12 elections this year. Madam President, as chair of the ECOWAS Authority of Heirs of State and Government, I proudly note our community's 50th anniversary. For 5 decades, ECOWAS has embodied regional integration and collective security, often acting decisively when others hesitated. ECOWAS moved early in Sierra Leone's peace process, before and alongside the UN, to end our civil war. It has done so in Liberia, the Gambia, and elsewhere to defend democracy and stabilize the region. These are African solutions to African challenges, open to global partnerships anchored in regional legitimacy and trust. Partnership with Africa must move from promise to practice. As chair of the ECOWAS Authority, I recently embarked on a regional tour, including a second visit to Burkina Faso in 2 years. This was to demonstrate solidarity and build trust between ECOWAS member states and the Alliance of Sahelian States. I commend the leadership of Burkina Faso for its willingness to engage and I look forward to continued dialogue with the leadership of both Mali and Niger. In my role as chair of the ECOWAS Authority, I have placed emphasis on advancing and safeguarding democratic governance with a strong commitment to upholding constitutional order and reflecting the people's will. Countering terrorism and strengthening our regional security architecture, including operationalizing the ECOWAS standby force and implementing counterterrorism strategies. enhancing economic integration by promoting trade, liberalization, developing cross-border infrastructure, and advancing towards a common ECOWAS currency. Strengthening the credibility of institutions through reforms that promote transparency, efficiency, and service focused on citizens. We urge the United Nations to deepen its partnership with ECOWAS and other African regional mechanisms in the spirit of Chapter 8 of the United Nations Charter. Africa is not a problem to be solved. Africa is a partner to be empowered. Madam President, during Sierra Leone's tenure as elected member of the Security Council 2024-2025, we have highlighted the urgent security challenges in West Africa and the Sahel, where terrorism and violent extremism transcends borders and destabilize the entire region. However, Africa's lack of permanent representation continues to hinder the Council's ability to act decisively and contextually. We have advocated for a comprehensive approach to counterterrorism in the Sahel, linking security with development, governance reforms, and regional cooperation, and strengthening the UN-AU-ECOWAS partnership. Too often, however, the Council's response has been hindered by narrow geopolitical interests, delaying action that could have saved lives. Our experience confirms a clear truth. Lasting peace requires inclusivity, ownership, and legitimacy. The Council's structural imbalance undermines its credibility and must be addressed to ensure the safeguarding of collective security. Madam President, in my capacity as coordinator of the African Union Committee of 10 on Security Council reforms, I speak on behalf of a continent still excluded from the permanent representation on the Council. Africa, home.
So there you have it. That was just an extract from the president's speech at the United Nations. We must say, I mean, it was a good speech. In all fairness to him, it was a fine speech. However, there were things we notably missing from the speech, and we just beg the question naturally, why is that the case? But now let's bring in Dr. Mahmoud, so we will go through the speech together, because I think it's quite an interesting one. Dr. Idrissa M. Tarawali, a lecturer and also a political science expert or analyst na Salone. If you're there with us, good evening, doctor.
Good evening, how are you? Want to get started?
Okay, welcome to the show. Hello, doctor.
I know they get quite clear, but
okay, I think we're struggling a bit with the line. Hope you able for at least get the questions then. Good evening and welcome to the show. So tonight, we did talk about the president's speech, now the United Nations. I'm sure you've listened and watched the speech. Is that not so?
They hear me clearly?
Yes, we did get you actually clearly.
All right. It's pretty bad, but I think I get questions. So, and some of the others around the UN of 2020, and then one for let we assess that statement, and perhaps later on we will talk about the president in delegation waiting there and the meeting. If that is the basis of the question, I'm more than happy for providing my feedback. Can you hear me?
Yes, we did get you. It's just rather unfortunate that you come in really, really low. The volume is really low. So maybe what we'll try to do is, maybe we'll try for call you back and see just that maybe the line would on be a bit better then, just so that viewers then maybe will forget you clearly and really able to follow the conversation nicely. So we'll go continue with Dr. Idrissa M. Tarawale shortly. Let the technicians then work on the line briefly. But Melvin, there you have it. You've heard the president in speech. But maybe before we come to the president in speech, maybe let's just generally, Sierra Leone, once again, I mean, most of we government and parastatals them, they are in America representing the country.
I think Doc, though the line a bit patchy, they try to set the framework for this conversation. And I'm sure the first question we'll get for Doc will be whether the president in speech resonates nationally. Because we want to watch the president's speech from maybe 3 lenses.
Okay.
The national perspective, the sub-regional/regional perspective, which is the continental perspective, and the global perspective. So Doc, being an academic, I think should be the right person to help us situate the conversation. However, it's being a speech, I think Doc will agree with me that it might not be free from realities, entirely free from realities and rhetoric. So we go and forget Doc also on that. So while we patch the line, generally I think assessing the speech, we'll look at its merits and demerits. Apparently so many schools of thought, they say it was a superb speech, so many adjectives, awesome speech.
I think I am actually one of them school of thought. I think it was a good speech.
Well, for me, I think
on face value.
Until our guests qualify whether it was superb or not, I think I'll hold my reservations on that.
Okay.
Because it was a speech, and every speech or every piece of literature has got its merits and demerits. So I don't know if Doc is set on the line for us. Doc, are you there?
I think then they still try for put and through.
All right, so that's it. We'll begin with Doc from the national perspective, whether what President Bio say, what he tell the league, the League of Global Leaders or the General Assembly when it comes to, for example, agriculture, green energy, youth, and human capital development. We need an outsider's perspective, whether it resonates, whether it's reflective of what is happening in Sierra Leone. Because it will be injustice if we begin to talk about sub-region and the region or the world, and we forget, say, President Bio is representing a country. He could not have been there if he was not elected the president. So I think we should begin to flesh it out from the national perspective and see whether it resonates. Because, I mean, a lot of other leaders came from where what they...
I think, for starters, the speech encompassed generally what is going on in Sierra Leone, and a lot was said in terms of government's effort and things that they've done and things them way in a work in progress. Lots of hands were pointed to that particular direction. And as expected, the purpose with the United Nations General Assembly they serve. Now that the president also told the line of other world leaders them for talk about things them where they happen at the global stage and other things them where the United Nations in itself need for be active on. I think significantly he flashed out Sierra Leone's importance and significance at the global stage and the role we as a country they play. Like you say, it is a speech, and it is open to different kind of marking schemes them, and depending on where you're standing or from which perspective you're reading or listening to the speech from, then they mostly determine how you'd look at it. For me as an individual, I'll describe it as a good speech individually.
Okay, I mean, since you are overemphasizing the fact that it's a good speech, from a national perspective, how good it was.
Okay, thank you. I know you would come to that particular angle.
Doctor
yes, I I think it was a good speech. It was properly structured. I mean, he talked about not just an individual. Mind you, when you're going there, yes, you're representing a country, but it's a world platform and all. And I don't necessarily think, say, it's a platform where you go and whine about the price of pepper and the price of Maggi in your country and all of which, but you'd want for really pay attention to what is going on, the steps that have been taken and all. I think a lot was said in that regard, though maybe I would not in terms of
for you in terms of national perspective,
in terms of the efforts where governments they make, for example, in areas of agriculture. Though I must say, maybe I would not have described the situation of Sierra Leone in the exact words them way the president used, but that now it's just a choice of diction. It's neither here nor there. Yeah. I still feel like, say, there are so many other realities them of we as a country that were missing from the speech, where I feel are significant things from a national perspective. Now, one national issue that I think should have formed a central part of the president's speech, given the significance of the United Nations platform, now the situation of Yenga. Now, that's a national issue with a global touch. Because not just an issue where they happen, like it's an internal issue with just Sierra Leone, it's with another African nation. Not also, we're also the part of the United Nations. And if you're going to point out, hello doctor, are you there with us now? Okay, I think we're still struggling with the line. It's rather unfortunate today that the line seems to be really, really bad. But we'll continue to try for get doctor and just manage the conversation. So as I be the same, Melvin, I think one significant thing that would have made it, way for don't make him into the president in speech, was the situation of Yenga. Yeah? Because the people them within Yenga, Sierra Leoneans, are still displaced. We don't even know waiting at the situation. You still get foreign soldiers them, albeit the Guineans, still there in occupation of Yenga. And certain things, then they start bit by bit before them reach to a point where, you know, it's something else. And from all indication, the local diplomacy, where we don't try for enforce in this regard, not look down the work at all. So far, it really not done the work. You look at even the intervention of even ECOWAS in itself and the ECOWAS committee. The last time the ECOWAS were here and they sent a delegation for go do some on-site you know, assessment, and they were not even allowed in. So if that did not make it into the speech, I would wonder really why.
But you still qualify the speech as...
Yes, I qualified it as a good speech.
Yeah,
Not
you're
simply...
still,
No, yeah, no, wait.
You're still struggling to qualify
No, I already did.
the goodness of the speech.
The goodness
You
of
said
the...
agriculture.
You listen...
Are you done
no,
with
no,
agriculture?
wait. You listen to the speech. I'm just making an example. I mean, I'm not a government expert. Not to me the calm for calm necessarily.
But you've credited the speech.
Yes, I credited it as a good
And
speech for
You've
listening.
not specified what's the biggest credit.
It sounded nice. That's it.
Because of it sounds nice.
Yeah, I mean, come on, wait. No, Melvin, wait. No, Melvin, wait.
I think Dr. Idris is on the
Okay,
line.
doctor is there now with
Doc,
us.
hello, Doc.
No, I think the line is still bad.
Hello, Doc. Hello, Doc.
Can you hear me?
I think the line is really bad. Maybe let's just carry on for now, and we could still continue for try for get doctor on the line. But for now, maybe let me just clarify with Melvin. Now, listen. The question of whether the speech was a good speech, I already stated that. To me, in my own estimation, I mean, it was a nicely written speech, yeah? Being that it was a nicely written speech is not the same as me being in agreement with the content of the speech. I can agree, say, yes, you talk fine, but I don't agree with what you say. That's fine. So what I am saying is that he delivered a nice speech. Let's give the man his credit, no?
Okay. So from the delivery perspective, I will agree with you. His confidence, his composure, I mean, I will agree when it comes to delivery of the speech. So that is his personally. You cannot take it away from us.
Content-wise now, that's where now I just highlighted to you one significant thing where I feel like, I think it was a it's still ongoing. I don't know if, and that's why I do not want to really qualify it in its entirety. Because they're still at the UN, and there are several, me and you know, say there are several breakout sessions them we can happen at the United Nations. So I cannot say whether it was deliberate for the president to leave that out for the General Assembly and maybe say he decide for throw him in any of the breakout sessions then.
Okay, I think we Doctor, are you with us?
Yes.
Hello, Doc.
Hello, I can hear you.
All right, Doc, so let's take it away from an academic perspective. How the speech resonates with national issues from your academic lens?
Well, thank you. Thank you very much for your question. So there are a couple of things that we need to take note of. First is the fact the UN General Assembly and the speech of the was made on the day. Right? So first, the president made his the authority of excellence. He made his speech at non-public members and made this speech at it when he's the chair of the African Community on form of United States. So if you look at police, it is tied around. And I thought as an academic, very good speech, well written and reasonably well articulated. And Mark the well articulated. But I feel say the president Fordham on a lighter scale could have articulated the speech properly and did not support some of the few words. It was great. Sierra Leone level. The president made. The first president spoke about what significant multilateral, which is the fundamental basic. Anyways, what is multilateral? Multilateralism. Okay. All of us active, all of us coalesce, come together, then for all of us. And what to wrap within the experience. And so the president said, Sierra Leone of Latin. He says when there is global peace, when the UN work save lives, and in case of the biggest and Sierra Leone has offered example of war to peace. It's a good example. So let us strengthen that, right? But he also argued the current nature of the security guard not working right on the security guard and say, well, in the all the suffering that is happening, we're able to happen. The war in Ukraine, together in Sudan, has not been able to happen. Which is why permanent members, members, it's a demand, and that US almost 1.4 billion are not represented. Right? So talk about the challenges of the UN in that, also spoke about.
Doc, let me just pin you on the point. Hello, Doc. Let me just pin you. Hello, Doc.
All right. Just to summarize. But
yeah. No, before summarizing, Doc, before summarizing, you raised the beautiful point on multilateralism as spoken by the president. But you know, Phil say, if we talk about multilateralism these days, it should be placed in tandem with what is called geopolitical isolationism too. Because we see, for example, looking at the speech of Donald Trump, and I'll call out some world leaders, don't you think multilateralism is under threat?
I can't hear you. So basically, I was setting for what the president said. And I thought in my that was a very written point on as chairman and Sierra Leone Council. Well, the issues. And then this is now the question. And so what? What does that mean for a country like Sierra Leone? If you are the chairman of ECOWAS, look at what is happening between Sierra Leone and Guinea. To what extent have you that relationship? And that's one end. But other people have asked, hold on, what a good speech when Sierra Leone the center of transshipment for illicit drugs in young people, because they are dying and all these other things. But to what extent was also rated on economic well-being, right? Not that. We take a very thorough assessment of the global geopolitical system, where states are multilateral, are going more on a more national. So, for instance, United States funding now, USA in the next Trump era, no funding in support and democratic. Nation states are to their corners, right? Yeah, that's the UK is Nigel Farage, the Reform Party. When no one's immigrant, in America you have Donald. In places like France, Hungary, right? So nationalism overtaking multilateralism. The question then is, does it take note of that happening?
Okay.
Or when multilateralism longer? That's one. The second point is, what's the essence of well-written speech? Especially the opposite. Where of hunger, of debt, of where question everybody believe has been found across the African.
All right, Doc. If now you been write that speech, hello, Doc.
What is the sincerity?
Hello, Doc. Hello, Doc.
Hello, yes, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, Doc. If now you been write that speech day, who say you for be pay more attention, national, continental, or global? Who say you for be put more paragraph and sentences?
I can't think so. I like in terms of the what does that mean for very nice. I also like the of how multilateral. But what I said was to say, the country, what we are doing to strengthen multilateral, acting from home. And this is what we are at a level.
Okay.
This is what we've been. These are the actions to relation with Yenga, for instance. What action has it for extradite the request about cocaine, right? You don't only global community that makes you look global community. It's important for him not to the global content, national specific interest.
All right.
That's what to deal with issues of government reform, deal with issues of social cohesion and peace that can stay the country together. I think that is the democratic value.
All right.
At the global level, but not so strong for national.
Thank you very much. So, in summary, you are saying the president in speech pay more attention on global and continental issues rather than speaking to the real-time issues back home, right?
Yes, that is correct. So,
all right. So, Doc, before I left you on. Okay. So before I left you on that point, I just want to welcome we in studio. Continue to stay with you on the line. We'll come back to you. We in studio guest Muluku S. Bangura. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Melvin. I apologize for coming in late.
It's understandable.
No, it's okay. It's okay. So tonight we're being brutally diplomatic. So we just don't take a listen and watch. I'm sure you also have at the president's speech. The United Nations. Now, Dr. we just give your own assessment of the speech. I think I'll turn over to you again. Maybe we'll start with the very first question as well, where we start with Doctor. How would you characterize the speech? Good, bad, ugly? Don't worry, I'm not limiting you within those three words.
No, but I will say overall, you know, it's a good speech. I comment on this again on the show on Friday. Overall, it's a good speech. Let's start off by the president in attire. It was good. It represents Sierra Leone.
No.
I don't say this is the yes, it's part of the speech.
Of course.
The attire was good. He represented Sierra Leone.
Of course.
And in addition to that, in delivery of the speech was very good. In command, the movement on the stage, using the teleprompters, he used them effectively. He engaged the audience. The speech itself is of substance. Overall, it touched it touched major points. However, in all of the good, you also get for mention the missing piece. And for me,
Hold on.
I still analyze the speech.
Hold on. You're analyzing.
Yeah.
I just want to qualify when you say the speech was a good speech.
Yeah.
Give me one or two.
I think Melvin is holding us strongly to that.
I need some brutal specifics.
I know.
So, what was good about the speech, in your estimation?
He when he started the speech, I mentioned this as well. He used an adjective, say the UN for consider small countries as well. But it further justify small countries, say, small countries self-valuable in their sovereignty and they get rights as a state for existence. I don't paraphrase right now. I can't give you the exact word. But it qualify the words of small countries. For me, that's powerful. That's a very powerful statement you make, knowing Sierra Leone, Usawitimap. In addition to that, he represented ECOWAS. You know, and I mentioned, you know, what ECOWAS to do, and he mentioned, like I put on more multilateralism, right? The effort it don't make for engage countries that we already don't secede from ECOWAS, and how that engagement don't make progress. He mentioned that. And for me, that's a good thing for the regional bloc itself, because he is representing ECOWAS. He also mentioned the work of the C10, and where the C10, that basically the responsibility for argue now the Security Council, the UN Security Council, about Africa involvement in that Security Council. He mentioned that effectively. For me, that's also kudos to him. In addition to all of that, he mentioned the importance of having an African representation. Now this UN Security Council. It's overdue. It's long overdue. We have to have an African representation in the United Nations. Now the Security Council. How can the UN don't exist for over 80 years?
Okay.
1.4 billion people in Africa. We don't get a single representation at the Security Council. He argued for that as a member of the C10. So these are all examples. I think he made a good speech.
Okay.
However, let's talk about the bad.
No, baby, before you come to the bad, let me take on something. Thank you for qualifying why you say it's good. I also hold the same view that it's good as a speech, and that's fine. But away from that, I want us to really, let me hit the nail on the head. Let's take a look at that speech and one thing, or what was significantly missing from the speech. One particular significant point that was not in the speech was the issue of Yenga. I don't know whether it was deliberate. I don't know whether it was because they were being diplomatic, the speechwriters or the president himself, or what was the reason. But it is my opinion that the United Nations General Assembly was a unique platform.
I agree.
That you could really flag that.
Totally agree.
While it is important to talk about what is going on in Palestine and what is going on in Gaza and several other places, you cannot overlook the displacement of whether it's just a handful of people from a village and you have foreign troops occupying there, and even when the ECOWAS sent a delegation, they were prevented from going in there to assess. Why do you think that was left out of this all-important speech? Do you think it was deliberate, or you think, just like me, now a missed opportunity?
At this point, we'll be doing injustice, and it will be conjecture. As far as me concerned, whoever wrote that speech or the team we write that speech there, then per diem, they're not supposed to forget their per diem. In fact, if they deny them their salary, the 1 month salary, they deny them the 1 month salary. And here is why. At the international stage, everybody did it. Everybody, the world is watching, right? It's not like President Bio not take Yenga issue seriously. All we are saying is he has made some efforts. Okay, look at that, mobilizing the ECOWAS team, coming for Kasi Doumbouya. Doumbouya reject them outright. They say, "No, don't use me borders. Una go inside salon." They can't salon. They go use salon. They're not even encouraging na Yenga.
They were prevented from entering Yenga.
Exactly.
Not even saying na Guinean side.
No, well, exactly. So the point what they try to make now is, why President Bio use that opportunity? Why the writers did not convince them, say, this is an opportunity for rally the international community. It's an opportunity for you save your sovereignty. It's an opportunity for let the people and see, say, at the international stage, you are calling, you are crying, you are seeking for support, international support, so that you will save Yenga. You will save the people of Yenga. For me, I think it was completely, they completely omit them. I imagine me, now a resident of Yenga, right? I sit down, now Yenga hold my phone, and they listen to that speech. I am under siege, in air quotes, siege, because certain people in there, we can't go on a bush for go farm anymore.
They can't go
anywhere. They can't go into their homes. I watch that speech, and the president at the international stage, no mention that I go feel bad. I go feel like say, oh, okay, for say we are not counted, but when election time come, then they can also campaign, can rally around. But when the time comes, we seek help, and we need help. At this point in time, we need help with the international community. I am telling you, if President would have mentioned Yenga, by now we don't see mobilization, international mobilization. We don't see 1 or 2 tete-a-tete, 1 or 2 meetings. Now, the argument will be, then get meetings outside of that whole speech day. People go argue, you say, oh, they had meetings, side meetings. But as far as we concerned, the public concern, we not see, we not hear, and that was a huge miss. Why? I really don't know. But I feel like the duty bearers had a responsibility for convince President Bio, for convince and say, Pa, include this in your speech. Even if now one line or two statements, just include them. Say, we seek support for Yenga, because Doumbouya is proving to be difficult. He is proving to be challenging. And we don't want to escalate this issue any further. We still want to engage diplomatically. The UN is the hub for diplomacy. It's practically the entire nation for diplomacy. That was the opportunity. You engage diplomatically and you identify people for engage. Doumbouya, look, I have said this over and over. Doumbouya has a very strong tie with the United States. It's no secret. He has strong support from the United States. This is an opportunity for engage right there at the UN. Let the US they step in, step up, engage, mobilize, and come with Monday.
Okay.
And then find a solution to it. For me, it's a big miss.
Okay, then maybe away from Yenga now. Another thing as well that has been the talk of this entire United Nations delegation and Sierra Leone representation there and everything has to do with the cost-benefit analysis. Now, you get several people on the sidelines. We don't question in itself the whole need for us to be there with the delegations that we went there with. And you get several people, we don't ask the question, how much are we spending to have people go down there? You understand? What are we getting in return? Now, the truth is, when it comes to president in travels them with all of those huge delegations, we do not even know the exact figures, thereby leading people for flaunt all sorts of figures around. But we don't know, and it's because it's not been made public. Yeah? This United Nations now, you see the delegation that went there, it's almost like half of government people are all down there with president. And clearly, the country is paying for all of that. What are we getting from it? What are we getting in return? Because the reason why people mention that even when President Bio was speaking, you look inside the hall, it's not a lot of people. So it tells you that the important people and don't talk, everybody is outside. So why are we going there with all of these boku people then? When you get bigger nations themselves, like the American president, when he took the state, talked about how the UN don't they lose in grip and, questioning the relevance in this 21st century. And it's several other world leaders as well. For a country like Sierra Leone, what are we even getting from there?
To be fair, this is not the first time we see presidents going to the UN with huge congregation. This is not the first time we don't witness that happening. In the past governments, we don't see it happen. Previous governments, we don't see it happen. And then go present an argument. And the argument could be the UN is just an event. Usai with the president to go give his speech. But what happens after, right, is a lot that happens. So I don't attend huge conference similar to the UN like this. And so when I go to Mandela Washington Fellowship, the last day, I mean, everybody is congregated in this one big room, in this big hall. I'm not comparing the two, but I'm assuming that's exactly what happens. I never go UN program yet. But what happens is, this way you see so on that speech day, that's just for the leaders. But on the back, so many engagements they go on. You have small sessions them where they need certain people who are interested, when are subject specific experts, whether they get meetings them, whether they get deals them passed, whether they get engagements and done, and the president cannot be everywhere at every time. Right? So the argument is, they will argue, say, okay, well, with the KEGO, the representatives there, so go handle their other meetings. Then one key result from that kind of engagement is the Mission 300, right? Where they gain $2 billion investment on energy, right? President not be ready. I'm assuming chief minister and some other people in that they go engage the them people in there. So the argument would be, okay, we need huge key people them we go able for make the engagements here, and these are subject specific experts. We go engage people them for let them pass some of them deals there. Let them meet some of them, get some of them connection. And we see an engagement with Bill Gates as well. When the chief minister engaged Bill Gates, right? So these are all things that happen in the corner where they actually see.
Okay.
In addition to that, the problem I get with that whole thing there is the absence of the opposition. This is my problem. I do observe, not like I said, not to this government, also in the past. If this is an opportunity for take people for go do engagement, let the voice of the opposition be heard. Take people in from the opposition. We get qualified people in from the opposition. We can represent the country as a whole. You are actually sending a message of unity. You are sending a message of cohesion. You are sending a message that you serious about the tripartite. Okay. Why they no can go? They want to not see them. I don't know, maybe they can't, but because the manifest, the two people that will leak the manifest right now, then they see they're in a tight place. So we'll not even see the total manifest. But I don't hear or see anybody from the opposition. I stand corrected. Okay. If we see them, they can show you, but we don't see them.
Okay, then maybe let we come now to we're moving again away from that cost benefits analysis. Let's come to something that is I think that's the anchor of tonight's program really. It has to do with multilateralism and that of the national interest. Yes. And for that I would really turn you over to Melvin, because I think that's one thing that we really want to point
when we talk about in tandem with the precedent in context of multilateralism, I mean Sierra Leone's relationship with other nations and international organizations, I think Dr. Mahmoud already set the tone of the conversation. There is you cannot be preaching what you don't live, basically. And for me, fundamental omission, I mean, firstly, you mentioned the opposition. Just looking at the clip there, you see the leader of government business. But we not see the leader of the opposition, which you're absolutely right. But there's a context there. You remember the last time where I think the government invited a cross-section of the opposition for joining them in the delegation was, I think, was it an IMF conference or World Bank conference? And it turned out that some people in the opposition told them that, you should not, if you be part of that delegation. So, firstly, we should be able to establish whether the opposition were extended an invite. It's unfortunate that we're not having somebody from the state actors' perspective to help us, because we need to know, this government for tell me whether they be invited. I've seen the deputy speaker of parliament. You've seen some members of parliament from the government. But if you look at the old delegation, you're totally right. This seems to be either a party office delegation or stricto sensu government officials delegation. And of course, like we don't mention the cost, but again, back to the topic of multilateralism. We're talking about multilateralism at a time wherein Sierra Leone is still reeling from implementing the realities of the post-2023 elections, which caused some restrictions. Other people are already having visa ban, and if we put that in tandem with, for example, Ghana. You've seen America changing the decisions of that. And you ask yourself, if we go UN and we get this kind of big delegation, issues that are affecting real-time Sierra Leoneans, are these issues actually discussed?
Yes, I totally agree with you. So I heard this from a very good source, this now very cogent source, that after the ban, when the US banned Sierra Leone, and ban Sierra Leoneans from entering into the US with non-immigrant visa. It is my understanding that the US government actually disappointed at the government of Sierra Leone. Why? They say, according to what allegedly, the government not do so much for educate its citizens about non-immigrant visa, about the laws of the U.S., about applying to the U.S., about how they actually commit offenses, based on overstaying, based on the things. And not the U.S. government not see cities like having the Ministry of Information, having like a town hall. Explaining to people about how these visas work, why, what's the non-immigrant visa, what are the restrictions, what's a student visa. They haven't seen that engagement. And personally, I haven't heard, I don't hear anything major where the government engage people. What do we expect is this: the government use in current administration, government use in current leadership, engage communities, because everybody's applying to the US. Everybody's going there. But do we know the laws? Do we know these things? We don't see that. We don't see no investments into that. So the US is kind of like basically disappointed in actions. We don't hear too much of it. At the diplomatic stage, I don't know what has been happening. I've heard the minister Alhaji Timothy Kaba don't mention several times, say, oh, they are in engagement with the US government.
As at now,
right?
the latest, as at 3 or 4, a couple of days ago, is that there is a tripartite committee now being established to look into those Sierra Leoneans that have overstayed that are to be repatriated.
Exactly.
And my colleagues across the sub-region said, Melvin, what will our government do? Our government will make even a case for itself, or argue, or even negotiate with the US government for see how they can ease some of these restrictions, as in the case of Ghana. But let me just hold you there, Molko. I think we have Mahmoud Fofana on the line. Mahmoud, are you there? Hello, Mahmoud?
Yes, hello, Melvin.
Thank you very much for sparing time. By the way, Mahmoud, you background, am I not seeing you there outside?
Yes, Melvin, I get you.
Okay, I say you background, now am I not seeing you there, or you there with Winner Victoria? You there with the delegation at New York? Hello, Mahmoud.
Yes, Melvin, I get you by the time in echo. Say the question, please.
I say you there with the delegation in New York, or you there with we na Frito?
No, honestly, I don't get information about the delegation. And I follow way the fellow still talk about the delegation. We absolutely are not getting clear about.
All right.
And that don't be the talking point for years now.
No, we will not reach to that issue there of delegation yet, Mahmoud. We'll just look at your location. You there America or you there Salon?
Sorry, my location?
Yes, you there America or you there Salon?
No, I did Salon, I did McKinney.
Oh, thank you very much. So we're all in at the same chapter. So let's begin from the journalistic perspective. What do you think about the reportage and the coverage of the UNGA, AT, and particularly the Sierra Leone delegation engagement? What do you think about the media coverage?
Yes, of course, to the media, to the delegation, I think it don't be the talking point into year in, year out, particularly so where the government can make them public for no as of almost people and go. But however, I agree to the in-studio as well, say there are really some meeting behind the scene. And which one would say that make most of them ministers or parastatals, they can make the trip to the UN General Assembly. But in a clear and a court, a transparent and accountable governance, publish the number to the people. The last thing we know about 50 during the APC term, because it was not published and then we are aware. So if President Biobide come and say that be wrong, keep that path and be accountable to that words and they can publish, say, this year, UN Assembly will go, now this amount of people will go. And I've been thinking this time the driveway the government of President Biobide thinks for can thrive upon. But unfortunately, we still they left the public in the dark when it comes to sensitive information like that. And
why you feel say the government not disclose again number of delegates on the delegation? Which, from your investigative journalistic perspective, what do you feel say go don't be responsible? Why the government not transparent again for the disclose the list of delegates on these kind of delegations?
To me, I think if you go, it has to do with what's really happening on the ground. You remember, people can get issue with President Bio in plenty travel. That's also around because the current hardship in the country, where the poor person in feel in this country, school opening up and go as planned because of issues with the teachers, them. So President Bio in travel, they don't ask so many questions. though, and there's the spokesman, when Dr. Khan, been doing other media houses and defend the use of the president going travel. But that's not the discourse here. If you don't say you know the travel with plenty of people, or you didn't get wastages, then be accountable to people. But honestly, the aspect of having them come delegation that travel out of the country into the UN, make them public, it has to hunt back the accountability and transparency where our presidents be able to talk about incoming to governance, particularly so where we don't see the previous the government Borandi for saying the travel with plenty of people from the UN Assembly. So it's a accountability to them.
You suspect that the government afraid the public backlash now make them make the list now kukuchumuku?
Absolutely so.
Yeah.
All right, so let me come now to the political, since you have a political lens there, as I can see it very clearly. From a political analyst standpoint, how politically rhetorical or politically real was President Bio's speech?
President Bio's speech politically, not that to say?
In terms of rhetoric or reality, who's one be pass mark? Now the rhetoric or not the realities?
It has to do with both sides. I'm not aware because in speech not entirely they offhand to me. But I think I agree with the other people and way they talk about it has to do with President Bio represents more of the ECOWAS into this year's speech than the reality to Sierra Leone. I think the other things the way you say a little bit an experience for portray exactly what you want. Okay, in the studio, and when I talk about having the line or sentence about Yenga, to me, I think President Bio look at because him being the chair of ECOWAS, that's the part of your responsibility for handling. And you remember, the African countries, then they get the thoughts in. An African problem has to be solved by Africans. So for the fact that him be the chair, you never go again to the UN Assembly and call for people who can solve a problem.
Mr. Fofana, if that's going to be the excuse, then why mentioning Alliance of Sahel States, AES?
Well,
is it not an African problem that needs, according to your words, an African solution? We're not going to tell which man. Oh, unfortunately, the line seemed for the behave like, I don't know.
I think let's keep it at that. I don't know.
Right? Okay. Yes, Mr. Mahmoud, go ahead.
Yes, I know you the question you asked.
You say perhaps I agree with you that President Bio want for use the Yanga issue. He want look at from a lens that Lonogo was with Dotsi leaning na Onga. Usai the global not the look we want Kaya is always with fet we said. So if that's the case, why you go mention Burkina Faso, Alliance of Sahel States among several other issues?
Yes, because I think President Bio presents more of being a chair of ECOWAS blog rather than the reality on in governance. And he used in governance as a springboard. Because if you look, the visit to Burkina Faso, it has to come to waiting in line as the experience of being part of a coup. And then I see that transition from being a military leader of a coup, then come up with democratic president. So he used in leadership of Salon this year at the UN Assembly as an experience for portray the bigger picture. The bigger picture where I think President Bio is, they look at, that all gets to do with the ECOWAS being the chair.
From
the Sahel is something where people are not fighting for. The African bloc don't get struggle, forget the guys together.
Mahmoud. Mr. Fofana.
Yes, please.
Mr. Fofana?
Yes.
Of course,
yes.
From a national lens, you think it was justice done to Sierra Leoneans that we president where they go away then another assembly day and represent Salon first before they represent ECOWAS and C10? Do you think it do justice to Sierra Leoneans in this case
No,
by focusing more
I think
on
partially
external issues than
not
national
Sierra Leone.
issues?
Because what make I say partially, now that's because President Bill Gates in two capacity,
Which one is the most important capacity? Which is the most important capacity?
In the nutshell, I can agree partially in opportunity more of Sierra Leone reality, because if you watch, it's more about energy, it's more about agriculture, digitalization. This is so because this is a mantra of in Big Five, and it want get more attention to them. And you look at the Mission 300. Sierra Leone is making headway to the Mission 300, which has to do with energy. So to me, I think, and look at the bigger and the long-term project over the reality of what you look at. So like if you read through as well the Mission 300 and you watch at the agriculture aspect, one would say it's not a short-term plan. It needs that kind long-term planning, get the resources, get the manpower, and get the capacity. So to me, I think that angle present you look at this year and the UN Assembly.
All right. Critics go say, even when you talk about national issues, you mention agriculture. If you do a comparative analysis to, for example, the speech of President Mahama, when he talks about the economy, he gives figure. But President Bio on agriculture, he don't give no specific figures. Don't you think it was just being generalistic on agriculture? Because there is a dark room fact, and I'm sure you being a journalist, you know the dark room fact that Sierra Leone, despite we have the Feed Salone project, but we are still rated among the hungriest nations. Could that be one of the reasons why the President Bio just water around them?
Well, I'm not going to conclude in that perspective because Feed Salone is not a year project, it's not a 2 years project. And if you read about the other countries like China, women can throw in food sufficiency, it not happen in a day, it not happen 10 years, it not happen 15 years. So if you analyze them politically and you look at the global lens to them, I'm not going to say that's the direction. But to me, I think in the put premium forget more cash for coming to achieve exactly what you want to achieve. That's my analysis for them.
All right.
I think if you watch now, plenty of people agree to President Bio in speech because in plain, bold, and look at a bigger picture.
Okay.
You know, which of course, yes, I agree to you contravene to the reality on the ground. If you come, we'll like business just stable. So for you to negotiate is still a manager like business. McCain be the galaxy not the gets now as compared to Tkadi. Yes, the Feed Salone not hit one in the 8, but just talk about don't see the money they come into them. But how to achieve them, I think it has a long-term project. I will never say just because of that. But and get to a lot of things where to me, if you listen to President Bio's speech at the UN, it all boils down to the bigger picture. Get the attention of the UN and get the attention for people where they fund projects and still let the money come.
Okay.
And this is just because if you watch, to me, as I said many times, President Bio in agenda align with 2 things. 1, the SDG, and then 2, the TRC recommendation.
Okay, thank you very much, Mahmoud Fofana. I'm afraid we'll have to leave it at that for now.
But the problem with President Bio leadership at the country, when they get international accolade, they get international funding.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you very much. Mr. Fofana, just hold on there, please. Mr. Fofana, just hold on there. You mentioned very beautiful points on funding. We'll come back to you. We get Dr. Tarawale on the line. But I mean, look, come back to the studio. One quick one before I go back to Fortune.
Yeah.
Do you think that speech was targeting more of fundraiser?
Yeah, I see Usai, I see Usai the common form. But I mean, the argument is
no. Be brutally frank. The president's speech for let money come out.
No. I don't think he was like direct saying for let money come out. But I see Usai the common form. Maybe presenting the country in that way. Say we are open for investments. We are open for this is what we are doing. But I can't see. I mean, the argument is. I mean, we are getting investments. Investments are coming in, right? And the UN is actually the place Usa you to go with certain challenges. I mean, every country has their challenges. We see what's in happen. We see either waiting happen, waiting Palestine, waiting and we see. We see what's in other nations. Then we'll talk about. They mention the challenges. They mention the struggles. So I don't think you mentioning your domestic issues. Actually, not even a domestic issue. It's an international issue. So you mentioning an international issue would hinder investment because the mission 300 prove them. Right? The mission 300 prove them. Before these people give you money, they know exactly what's going to happen at the country. They know what's going to happen all around you. They understand the issues. So, I mean, I don't think it will prevent, that from happening. But I see the argument.
Okay, gentlemen. The time now is 8:24 from a studio clock. And at exactly 8:30, we go to draw the curtain down for tonight's show. As we conclude, Muluku, it's still ongoing. Still in the UN and several other engagements. Them still they continue. Now the UN. We don't talk about the younger issue. We don't talk about cost benefit analysis and all. What do you think we could have done better?
That's a great question. What we could have done better. One is we do we best for involve the independent journalists. I mean, the press corps very important. You are sending a message, say you're actually practicing democracy, where you not only just care everybody when at State House communications, right? In other words, in your estimation, you want to skew the narrative. You have to paint a good picture. But if you allow and invite, like I say, we not see the full manifest yet. So we don't know if they extend the invitation to any major media house. But we want to see in the future independent media houses, we're non-partisan. Let them be represented. We need to see them all. Let them get the freedom for conduct interviews, talk to other people, and it's an opportunity because we already know. Say there is what we call media poverty. These media people, where they go there, it's an opportunity for connect with media houses from BBC, Al Jazeera, Reuters, and make connections because we know what happens behind those closed doors. So let them next time open them up to independent media houses, not to only State House communications. That's number one. Number two, we want to see active participation of the opposition. And then they talk about just catch the leader of the government of the opposition. You can't go. No, we want to see active participation. Let's send 2-3 people represented. We need for practice that because this is
so that coming back home, at least the people and able to get a full picture of what went down, what was promised, and also this instance where una come back and tell us all of these
one side story
where we not ever see them materialize.
We need both stories because that's the way you can tell the people and say you are ready for peace, you are ready for democracy, and you're actually practicing democracy. So we need that need for improve in the future. Now for the accountability side, I don't see that happening. This is a brutally frank show. I don't see the government come in and tell we spend $10,000, $100,000 from. I don't see that from any government because they know it's going to cause an uproar. They know journalists like Melvin not going to let fast slide. Go push and pursue them, and rightfully so because the people they need for know. What's happening. So they would rather left that aside because they don't want to avoid the uproar. But if you really want to practice true democracy, you have to be accountable.
I think what they've rather been truncating really now the idea of that you don't need to worry about how much was spent to go to America because either ways it would not be up to $2 billion. Now we have $2 billion and waiting. But I think that's a thing that you leave for people to judge themselves.
Exactly.
Let us know how much we spend for the travel.
And
let we the people able to estimate and determine by ourselves whether the $2 billion that was promised is equivalent or cover that cost there. We no need to worry about that. I think that's a balance. But Melvin.
Mulku, I just try to wrap my head around the inconsistency of the government in publishing the list. At first, in fact, before they came into office, they used to critique or criticize previous administration for having balloon
overbloated delegations.
And when these governments, honestly, when they came in the first inning, in that first 1-2 years, they were publishing it. So I just struggle for figure out why this sudden radical seismic shift from being open and transparent and accountable now to being secretive, being what could be?
Well, what is the lesson we the people set for land from this? Why do we always fall for these rhetorics from these politicians? Why do we, when they can't say, we say, oh, we can, when they become transparent, we go make sure say we show everything on both on our see, and then everybody's like, yeah, we're not tired of this thing. When they can all of a sudden they change their mind.
Well,
This is not the first time it's
we
happening.
as Sierra Leoneans, we are optimists.
I mean, it speaks to the fact that the people really want something different. The people really want a government way really accountable to them, and they are using that to tease us. They are using that to invite us into the whole thing. And when once they get in, then do what they want to do. So, should we continue to trust their words? Is the big question we ask. We self as citizens, should we continue to believe these people? Should we continue to sit down and say, yeah, what did they tell me? This is different. This is a different person. You can't tell me the truth. There's a saying when I'm a young man's kind of life, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. Okay. Right? For me, when I don't believe these people. I mean, they don't tell you all these nice words, you know, all these sweet words for letting them put you inside. But once you come inside, that's it. For me, I don't know. I can't give you the reason why, but I find I'm very disingenuous. And you don't get this argument. You need to put politicians and morality together. Now, two different, two separate entities. Now, our time oil. You cannot be a politician and expect you to be moralistic. Impossible. Because the politics itself is an immoral thing. Okay. The people say things they never ever do. So, I know you hold a different view on that. We will get arguments. Say some other time.
Let you go. They can't put you on the spot.
Yeah.
So, of course, we are looking at three perspectives or three dimensions of the president's speech: from the nationalistic, the continental, from an Pan-Africanist perspective, and from a geopolitical perspective. Yeah. So, on a scale of 1 to 5, let's begin. On nationalism.
I'll get a 6.
6.
I still maintain. I begin 65, so I still maintain 665, okay. 6.5.
So it passed.
Yes,
President Bio, he talked well about nationalism.
I never say well. You know, 65 is like busy, like B plus or C plus. Yeah, 65 is okay. I mean, it's a huge miss with the younger issue, but so that's why I say 65 is a good. It's a good.
So if we don't get younger as the big miss, what's the big get?
Younger in big miss overshadow entire.
Yeah, but I still struggle. What's the biggest get from a nationalistic perspective?
So it talk about, it mentioned agriculture, it mentioned other things, it mentioned all the other entities, the way they represent the city and the ECOWAS. It mentioned about the progress way the government don't make, the strides way the government
you're boxing it up.
No.
It's not about on Sierra Leone.
No, so
when it comes to continental Africa, maybe you can't get and say.
No, remember, like I say no more. He has little time. Okay. For say everything.
Of course.
So he basically choose bite-sized information for feed people.
Nationally,
so that's why nationally 6.5.
What about continental Africa?
Continental Africa, like I say, I will still get a 6.
Geopolitical,
I mean, I would say 7.
7.
Yes, I'll get a 7.
So it was a clean pass.
I don't say clean pass because for me clean pass is A.
Accumulative.
It's like A+.
If you put on in accumulative grades.
No, it's a pass. It's a pass.
A clean pass.
It's a pass. I don't want to use one mistake for flag the entire success of it.
Gentlemen, we leave it at that. We leave it at that really because time don't beat me. So there you have it, viewers. Tonight we don't be brutally frank. Brutally diplomatically frank with Sierra Leone's representation now the United Nations and all what we get for say there and what we stand to gain too at the United Nations. The president in speech, we've looked at it and all what the president said and waiting we feel should have been said.
What he said and not said.
Yes, waiting we feel safe for don't dede, we not dede, and try for really examine why is that the case. But that is all we have for you. But like always, we'll always close with waiting we start with. When I jump through there, we want say, if you deny a society, who say the people them not able for continue, for rely on the institutions them, for tell them waiting correct. Then, waiting correct must now come from arts and culture. My name is James Fortune, and thank you very much for joining us tonight. All the ones that we don't join with via Facebook page, and of course, those ones we don't follow we via TV. Till next week Sunday on this same station at exactly 7 p.m. we Brutally Frank will come to you. This is how we draw the curtain down. Melvin.
No matter the challenge, no matter the obstacle, no matter the hour, we must and we will overcome. Because in a world of many choices, there is one choice we must never make. The choice to give up. We must never give up. That now waiting Antonio Guterres say, and with that word day, I want to say plenty thank you when you join me on the show, and join me again next week for another juicy and topical issue as Brutally Frank always to meet you on Slick Television Channel 37 and also on Epic Radio FM 99.3 and also online on with different social media handles on Facebook, on YouTube. You can just click on Slick TV and watch repeats of these programs, and you can also watch at your own convenient time and look at some of the things that we'll say and have you say. Until then, my name Melvin Tijan Mansari.
No substance or sweet talk with plenty lie inside. Then now, na the term for strip the headlines bare and tell the story just like it is. Brutally Frank goes where others won't, exposing the real stories behind the headlines.
We tackle issues of maximum importance to the growth of Sierra Leone, from politics to the economy.